Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foundations of Java, our first class. So my name is Sophia Jiang, and I'm going to be your teacher for the next 6 weeks. So just a little bit about me. I'm a rising junior in BCA, Bergen County Academies in New Jersey. And I'm in the medical academy, but I'm also really interested in computer science. And I've had my official start in computer science in the beginning of my sophomore year, where I took a year-long elective to learn Java. But I really had my first interest in computer science when I started volunteering at One Word Anchor, and they had many classes about teaching like coding. So now that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to code. So let's get started, shall we?
Thank you.
So getting started. The coding platform we're going to use is Replit. So what I want you guys to do first is go to your browser and go to repl.it. And I want you to make an account, or you could just link a Google account. Okay, so some important info before we start all this. Java is case sensitive, meaning that whether a letter is uppercase or lowercase matters. So just keep that in mind. If I have a capital S, make sure you have a capital S. And always add a semicolon, this thing. It should be right next to the L on your keyboard. Always add it to the end of each line. This is so the code can all compile, and without it, the computer will send you an error message. Also, there's something in Java called commenting, which is what I might do on some of your code. Just do 2 slashes, and then whatever you write there, it won't count it whenever you run it. And down here is something it's quite important. If you have multiple files in a Replit, like the one I showed you before only had one, main.java. But we will add more files, and when we have more files, you can't just run your code by pressing run, because there's multiple files that could be run, and Replit doesn't know which one you want to run. So in that case, we type javac, the file name .java, press enter, but all of this is unnecessary, and we'll cover it more as we go on. So let's go on to our first topic, System.out.print. So whenever you want to print in Java, for it to show up in the console, right, we have 3 types of things we could do. We could do System.out.print, regular, System.out.print ln, and System.out.print f. Now for System.out.print, it will print out whatever is in the quotation marks. And remember, these quotation marks always have to be within 2 parentheses. For System.out.print ln, it basically does the same thing, but it will print out whatever is in the quotation marks on a new line. If you don't really get what that is, we'll test that out in a sec. And for System.out.print f, it will print out whatever's in the quotation mark, and it's mostly used for number formatting, which we will cover a bit later in the course. So we'll take a look at the structure and how it's supposed to be written. So you basically type system, capital S, period, out, period, print, ln. You do open parentheses, and you do quotation marks. And inside, you type whatever you want to be in the console. So System.out.print ln is actually preferred over the other method. It's preferred over this one without the ln. It just makes everything look more nicer whenever you print it out. So let's give this a try, shall we? Let's go here. All right, I have the skeleton code open, right? System.out.print ln hello world. So let's see, let's press enter and System.out.print ln. You can say anything really. Say, hi there. And don't forget, you have to add the semicolon at the end. Whatever you have in the parentheses will also print out in there. So if you add a bunch of spaces, it will also print like that. So here I have a bunch of files all prepared, right? So I can't press run. It won't work for me. What I have to do is I have to type Java C, press space, and the name of my file is main. So I would do main.java. Go on to the next line, give it some time to process. And then I would type again Java space, this time no C, main, and press enter. And there we go, we have hello world. And hi there. Note that all the spaces I typed here are also here. So that's how printing works. But let's say I wanted to do System.out.print without the extra ln. I would just do system. And I would say, maybe I want to say, my name is Sophia. Add the semicolon. And let's run this again. Every time you type out Java C main.java, it recompiles your code. So whatever's new, it will be there. And look, we have hello world. Hi there, my name is Sophia. Right? And the reason why this prints out on the next line is because this is supposed to be on its own separate line. So there we go, right? Printing. It looks pretty cool. So what I want you guys to do, what you guys can do is try it yourself. Do System.out.print ln, like print out your name, print out one of your hobbies, right? Say, hello, my name is so-and-so. My favorite hobby is this. And if you want, you can share your code with the class. Give it a try, guys. Mine is, oh, I can get rid of the hello world part now. Okay. So let me just clear this. Okay, let me run this. And hi, guys. My name is Sophia, and my favorite hobby is figure skating. Okay, let's go back to this. So you've got done printing. Let's go to the basics. It's pretty much everything you need to know to write a piece of code, a simple piece. So we have basic data types. Now this is really important because you can print stuff all day, but what's the point of that? Here we have the basic data types in int, which stands for integer. Now you guys should all know what integers are, like 0, 1, 2, 3, nothing with a decimal place. But if you do want something with a decimal place, you use doubles. You will have decimal values. You can have an infinite number of decimal places. And finally, we have strings. Note that the int and the double are all lowercase letters, but the string has a capital S. This is just how it works. So in a string, it's just a group of characters. Characters can be letters, characters can be spaces, characters can be like exclamation points or numbers, but they will all be in these quotation marks. And note that integers and decimal places, doubles, don't have these quotation marks. You might be asking, how do we use these? How are they relevant in a piece of code? But first, let's get the basics down. So what they're used for is like declaring a variable. It could be numerical in the case of an integer, or string of characters as in a string. So first, what you do is you write down your data type, then you write down a variable name. This can be anything, but it should at least have some relevance to what it's supposed to stand for. Like for this is int example, because I'm using this as an example. Next, we have the equal sign. If we want to declare it, we want to say that this variable is equal to this value. And then this variable will then be assigned that value. And finally, you say what the value is. And don't forget your semicolon at the end. For a string, it's pretty similar, except as I mentioned before, don't forget the quotation marks. Let's give this a try, right? Just declare a simple string declare a simple int or double, just anything. Here, I'm gonna try something. So let's give some space, comment this out. So let's say I want to write a variable for my age, right? My age will always be an integer, which is why I'm going to use an int. So int age would be a pretty good variable name. And if you want, you can add spaces before and after your equal sign, or you don't have to use those. It's the same thing, but like this, it just looks a bit neater. So my age is 15. And now we have a variable, and age, as it says, age is 15. So if I try printing out age, if I want to print out a variable, I don't need to use quotation marks. So let's say I want to print out age. Will it give me age? Well, as you can see, no, it didn't give me age, like AGE. It gave me 15, because when I want to print out a variable, it will give me the value of the variable. So that's how it works. Next, concatenation. Now that is a long word and it might seem a bit complex, but the idea of it is actually really simple. So concatenation is the action of linking together things in a series. So what if you wanted to not print out things on a different line if you want to say my name is this or my age is this, right? What we have to use basically is just a plus sign. So instead of just saying 15, because what if someone doesn't know what 15 is? I can just say, put the quotation marks, my name is, add the space, do a plus sign. Oh, not my name, my age. Put the plus sign, and then age, the variable. And then take a look at that. We have my age is 15, right? It's just a way to put together things you print and variables, and it's really helpful. So simple Java operators, right? It's just basic arithmetic. We have addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Addition, of course, you use the plus sign. Subtraction, you use the minus sign, which is dash, and multiplication, instead of using X or anything, we use the asterisk, which is shift 8. So adding, subtracting, and multiplying, you can use that for int and double variables. And Replit will basically output the number right away. If I say my age is 3 plus 12, that's still going to print out 15, right? And if you want to use these for int variables, you will be returned in int. If you use either 1 or 2 doubles, you will be returned a double. So if we want to see how that works, comment this out. We have, let's have an int number, and we'll set this to 8. And then we're going to have a double. We'll call this number 2. And remember, when you're naming a variable, you don't want any space in between them, because look, that's giving me an error. We want it to be the same thing. Variables can only have 1. So not like 2 words or anything, but if you want 2 words, like I want to say number 2, just do that. Right, so we have number 2, and we'll say that is 5.2. Right, let's test them out. What happens when I add them? Number plus number 2. We get 13.2. And the reason for that is because if you use 1 or 2 doubles, you will be returned a double. Let's see what happens when we do multiplication. Number times number 2. We get this, right? Still a double. But if number 2 was an int, let's say if it's an int, then it's no longer 5, it's just 5. All the numbers returned to you won't have decimal places. Right, you see? No decimal places. The number returned is an int. Okay, you guys got that? You can experiment a little bit if you want. Now we're going to move on to user input. Now for user input, we are going to introduce something called the scanner. Now what the scanner is that it would read in whatever the user types in the console, and you can have that way to have user input. Now the way to implement this is import java.util.scanner at the very top before your skeleton code. So if you put it anywhere else, it won't work. Where you want to put it is right up here. Import, import java.util.scanner. Right? And it might give you an error at first, but it's just reading it in. And next we have scanner input equals new scanner system.in. Just gonna copy this. And we're gonna put that inside of the skeleton code. This one goes inside. Right, this is just saying there will be something called input, which would read in stuff. So everybody do that real quick. Import java.util.scanner at the top before your skeleton code. And we want scanner input equals new scanner, parentheses, system.in, close parentheses. Okay, so now I'm gonna tell you guys how to use this. Now there's a specific way of doing this. You want your data type and variable name, right? Remember your int example equals, and instead of putting in a number yourself, like here, like where I typed in 8 and 5 manually, you want to do input.next, and depending on if it's an int, double, or string, you do int, double, or line. Remember, it's not input.next string, it's input.next line. And then you have to add these open and close parentheses. So see how that would work. We have everything imported. Let's keep on going the thing about the age. Let's say I want people to input their age. Right? I would do input.next int. Remember, it has to be capitalized and the open and close parentheses. And don't forget to print it out. All right, let's clear this up so it's not so cluttered. To do that, just type in clear into the console. So let's see how this runs, right? It automatically gives you something here where you can just type in numbers. You don't want to System.out.print the age, because that will, once I press enter, it'll give me an error, because here's what we want. Here's what we want to do. Before that, actually, we'll write something, quickly print something out so we know what we're trying to user input. Say enter your age. User input. This is what you want. Sorry if I didn't show you guys this before. This is really important. So this part up here, java.util.scanner goes at the very top, right here. And this part goes inside the skeleton code, and I put that right there. So I'll give you guys some time to fill that out again, the import and the scanner input equals. Okay, right, so down here, as I was saying, to use the user input, you would do int age input.next int, right? And then you want to do before that System.out.print enter your age, so you know what you're entering, right? And after that, we'll just do System.out.print. We'll say, do the thing again with the age. Your age is, and we add an age. Remember, concatenation. So type that in and let's run it. So right, we have here it printed out, enter your age, right? Let's enter my age, 15, and look, it printed out your age is 15. Isn't that just a nice way to have people enter stuff? And that's normally how on those websites where they're like, oh, enter this. And then it says, that's all they know, using variables, right? And there's something called input.close, which you would use to like close your input. Normally in these like small pieces of code, there's not many things running. So input.close just to mean that everything is secure. But honestly, if you have it or not, doesn't really impact it. But just for the sake of it, let's do input.close. And this should be at the very end, once you're done using your input. So now in our remaining few minutes, we're gonna do a little project, right? It's time to utilize those new coding skills that you guys have learned from this. Okay, let's code our first program. You might be thinking, wow, it's a big jump. Before I was just, printing out stuff, doing user input, but that's all you need to write a program, right? So we're gonna make a little perimeter calculator, right? In a regular polygon, all the sides are equal. So to find the perimeter, all you really need is the length of one side. So you got to use System.out.print. You got to use those data types, int, double, string. You have to use your scanner, and using just, arithmetic, basically code yourself a calculator. So if we take a look at this, a sample run, let's say I printed out how many sides does a polygon have? The user inputted 5. What is the length of each side? The user inputted 4.4. And you can make the length, the variable length, it can be an int or a double. I made it a double in this case, which is why it accepted 4.4. And then print out the perimeter is, and then the perimeter you calculate. Some of you might be still a bit stuck as to how user input works. So let's just take a look at what I have, right? I'm not going to show you everything, but okay, I have something here for perimeter. So if I run it, right, Java C, perimeter.java, Java perimeter, right? I have a line of code that says, how many sides does your polygon have? And right after that line of code, I have this, which says int number of sides. I just said num sides, input.next int. So here's me going to input something. Let's say my polygon is an octagon, it has 8 sides. I press enter. The next line here, what is the length of each side? Well, then I had a double for the variable length. And I said, okay, maybe it should be 6.5. 6.5 units don't matter. So then right after that, I'll have a concatenation with System.out.print saying the perimeter is, close quotation marks, 6 is 52.0. And since I had a double for my length, this will give me a 0.0 at the end. So if you have something that runs, if it's correct, right? If all the math is correct, right? 6 times 6.5, 8 times 6.5 is 52, right? That's true. So that means this piece of code works. So I'll give you guys a bit more time to work on that. And you can also work on it outside of class, just to, finalize it and polish it up a bit. But this is where our class ends, right? I hope you enjoyed Foundations of Java. I mean, thanks for making it to the end. You should follow our socials on YouTube, where One Word Anchor, and my social if you want to reach out to me personally for a bit more help. You can find me at Instagram at Sophia Claire Jiang, or just email me as well. You have my email. So also, if you want access to these slides, just also send me a quick email. So I hope you guys had fun. I mean, you guys learned quite a lot. It was quite a heavy hitter for the first day. I mean, printing, oh my God, data types, and then user input. Oh, it took me a while to get user input, but I'm sure all of you will in time also get it. And come on, you gotta say today was fun, right? I mean, hopefully you guys all have your codes, your perimeter calculators. So that's it for today. Bye, guys.